Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Bhavani Shankaro Vande Shraddha Vishwasarupino Yabhyam Vinana Pashyanti Siddha Swantastham Vande Bodhamayam Nityam Gurum Shankararupinam Yamashrito hi Vakropi Chandra Sarvatra Vandyate. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Our story began with Satiji. Satiji was accompanying Lord Shiva when he went to pay a visit to the sage Agastya. And on their way back, they happened to spot Lord Rama in the forest. And Lord Shiva is filled with joy at seeing Lord Rama because he loves him. He is devoted to that Lord Rama. But Satiji's reaction in her mind is one of doubt and confusion. And although ideally what we want when we love somebody, and that person whom we love has great love and respect for somebody else, what should happen is we should also grow to love that person. But in the majority of cases, that's not what happens. And it's not what happens because for us, that love is not pure love. That love is attachment. And so if we see that person whom we are attached to becoming devoted to somebody else, we feel insecure. We feel threatened. We don't feel good. We feel jealous. For Satiji, Bhagavan says it's nothing other than the Lord's Maya. There is no other explanation because she herself is free of sin. So it is his will that this should happen. So we saw Satiji's story, how she became Parvati, and how Parvati ji and Lord Shiva came to get married. And one thing that we discussed yesterday, which again is just worth emphasizing, is this point about tapas, about austerity. When Parvati ji wanted to be united with Lord Shiva, her reaction was, okay, great, I'll just go to Mount Kailash and hope that he sees me and I can have a conversation with him and I'll persuade him that we should get married. The advice that she was given was, do tapas, perform austerity. And that austerity will give you the result that you are looking for. Austerity meaning when we voluntarily deny ourselves some comfort for a particular purpose with a higher purpose, a higher intention in mind. Then it becomes tapas. Otherwise, it is just staying away from that object, that thing, that person without any understanding. That is not austerity. So because she is living in this way with the intention that I want the Lord, therefore this is the result that she gains. Now, for us, why is it a useful sadhana? Why is it useful to practice some austerity? Because usually for us what happens is when we practice tapas, the mind becomes more disturbed. When you decide to fast, or you decide to even put your phone away, you decide not to do something, the mind becomes even more disturbed. And you think about that object even more than you usually would. So why is it useful? One thing is that only when you give something up, then you realize how dependent you are on it. Otherwise, we don't realize. We think, yeah, I could do very well without my phone for a day. You try and see what happens by 9 a.m., 10 a.m. The mind will get very disturbed. It's not even a conscious thing anymore. It's almost like a reflex. The hand just reaches for the phone. So when we give something up, then we recognize how dependent we have become on that thing. And when we develop any kind of dependence, that is definitely going to lead to some kind of sorrow. So one, it reveals this to us. And the other thing is, when we practice tapas, we increase our titiksha, our endurance. We are better able to deal with difficult situations because we've practiced voluntarily, consciously, not engaging in that thing. So say first you've practiced fasting twice a month for a certain number of years. Then just by mistake or just by chance, one day if you don't get food, you know what to do with your mind in that situation. You know how to deal with it. So your endurance has increased. And in the Gita, Bhagavan says, somebody who has this kind of titiksha, saha amritatvaya kalpate. That person is qualified for immortality. In other words, having titiksha brings us closer to liberation, which is what we are looking for. So titiksha is not just, oh yeah, it's one of the 6 in the sadhanas. It's there somewhere in that list. It is incredibly valuable, incredibly important. And it is said that when you are confused in life, when you don't know what to do, when a situation isn't clear to you, you don't know what choice to make, you don't know which path to take, then it is said you can help yourself by doing tapas at that time. Because essentially what you're doing is you're giving your mind room to think. Otherwise, we are just constantly engaged with objects, with situations, with people. If tapas means I'm withdrawing to some extent from those things, then automatically my mind has more space to think about whatever it needs to. So, this is the importance of that tapas. That it helps us to develop this kind of clear thinking. And if you need inspiration, you just look at our parampara itself, at our lineage. You see our Gurudev, you see our Swami Tapobanji Maharaj. What kind of tapas they did? What kind of tapas is being done? So, this is its utility. And ultimately, the highest tapas, what gives us the most comfort? What is the greatest comfort that our mind has become used to, accustomed to? It is our ego. The notion that I am this person, I am this individual. To give this up is the highest tapas. Before we get there, we practice all the others. Now, Bhavani and Shankarji have come together. Right? We have Parvati ji and we have Lord Shiva in the same place. Which means what do we have? We have both Shraddha and Vishwas. In Mount Kailash and supported by Guru Bhakti in the mind of Parvati ji. Now, all the ingredients are there. Everything is in place. And now, the teaching can begin. So yesterday, we saw Lord Shiva sitting beneath this banyan tree, and his beautiful form is described. He is fair, with his soles of his feet red like a lotus, lotus-shaped eyes, with his long arms, with his ascetics clothes. Lord Shiva is sitting. And how is he sitting? Dhare sariru shanta rasa jaise. As though this very sentiment, the very idea of peace has taken a body and is sitting there. Now what happens? Parvati ji sees him and she thinks, this is my time. I have found the right time. And what now is described is how the student approaches the teacher. Because no teaching can take place unless there is both, right? There is a student and a teacher. Say there is a teacher sitting somewhere, but no students. Nothing will happen. And say there is a student who is just wandering around without having found a teacher. No teaching will happen. And this relationship of student and teacher is given so much glory in all of our Vedanta Shastra. It's a very special relationship. It's said that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, he used to go onto the rooftop of where he was staying in that Dakshineshwar, which is where the Kali temple is. And he used to shout, I am waiting, where are my students? Send them to me. And then at that time he was Narendra, Swami Vivekananda, and all disciples started coming. He would say, I've been waiting for you for so long. So sometimes as students, we also feel like going to the teacher and saying, I know you've been waiting for me, I'm here, don't worry. All your troubles are solved. I'm here, I'm your student. So the thing is, for this teaching to happen, really it's dependent on the student. Because until somebody says, I'm ready to be a student, even if that person is the most learned teacher on earth, they will not give that knowledge. They will not just catch any random person and say, listen, I'm decided that you're my student, so from today onwards, every day you have to come and see me, you have to bring me some dakshina, come and sit here, I will teach you. Nobody will come near that person. They'll say, what's wrong with him? So really it's up to the student to say that I'm here to learn. Like we see in the Gita with Arjuna and Sri Krishna. They spent so long together in the forest, otherwise. But until Arjuna said, Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam, Sri Krishna didn't start telling him anything. You are happy, I'm also happy. When the time comes, I will be ready and I will teach you. But until that point, I won't just start. And this is something that we have to learn, you know. Because often we see people and our friends, our colleagues, our family, and they're going through something and we feel, I know who is the right person to solve this. I am. So come here, I will tell you what to do. Did they ask you? No. But still, come, I will tell you. Do this, do that. Say this, say that. Nobody wants that kind of advice. When should we give advice? When it's wanted. Otherwise, if we give and that person doesn't listen, then we end up feeling hurt. And we were never involved in the first place. So the student has to first come. And who is the student? So in Vedanta, we have our long list of qualifications, right? But you understand it this way. The student is two things. One, he is arthi, which means he wants something. He wants something. And two, he is samarthi. One is arthi, one is samarthi. Arthi means he wants it. Two means he is capable of getting it. So again, both are required. We may want many things in this world. For different people, different things. Some people, every time they walk past a car showroom, some desires start expressing. Some people walk past clothes shops and some desires start. Some people see camp posters and desires. All sorts of different desires are there. But if that desire is not backed up by the ability to actually attain that thing, I will not have that experience. Means I can stand for as long as I want outside the Tesla showroom, but in my bank account, if there's only 500 pounds, then forget it. You will see the inside of that car only in your dream, or if your friend is very rich. So both things are required. I should have the desire, but I should also have the ability to attain that thing. So all these qualities will be described now by Lord Shiva himself. But this we have to bear in mind. And who is the student? So student, these two. Who is the guru? So in our Vedanta, they will say guru is Shrotriya and Brahmanishtha. In other words, if somebody has to teach something, they should be very well versed in that thing. If you don't know that subject, then you won't have any ability to teach it. And generally, anybody who does teach, you will see that generally you know a lot more than you actually communicate. What is said is much less than what is not said, what could be said. And so if you only know very little, then what you say will be even less. So for a guru to be able to communicate everything, how vast that person's knowledge must be. This is what is indicated by the term Shrotriya. And here specifically it means that person has a broad and in-depth knowledge of all the scriptures. Now here the teacher is Lord Shiva, so there is not even any question that what does he know and what does he not know. So this is the first thing, Shrotriya. The second thing is, that teacher, that guru, Vedanta guru, should be Brahmanishtha. In other words, he should be abiding in that truth. Somebody may know the scriptures very well and still lead a life of complete licentiousness, to use our Gurudev's word. In other words, they are still completely engaged in this world with no interest in developing discipline, no interest in even asking this question, who am I? It's enough to just know that this is what is said here. Don't ask me to live my life in that way. So will you listen to such a person? I'll give you an example. Okay. You decide that new year, new me. Okay? So I'm going to rethink my whole lifestyle. So you decide to go to, nowadays so many people are there in this industry, wellness industry. So you find a lifestyle, I don't know what they call them, coach, lifestyle coach. Okay? And you see this person's website and they say, be transformed in 2 weeks with your diet and exercise and this and that, new you. And they have before and after pictures and all sorts of testimonials. So you look in this website and you feel, wow, I think this will really work for me. So you get really excited, you call them up, you say, yeah, I'm really interested, I'm so motivated, I really want to change, I want to be better, I want to be the best version of me. So they say, very good, here's somebody that we can make a lot of money off. So they say, yes. Good, we're quite busy at the moment. They can't tell you that they're not busy. We're very busy, so the earliest appointment we can offer you is in 2 weeks' time. So you say, yeah, no problem. If they're busy, it must mean that they're really good. Say, yeah, okay. So you go there. So you make the appointment. You wait 2 weeks, and you turn up. And that wellness coach, whom you're supposed to have the appointment with, is some limping, sniffling, coughing person who can't get up from their seat because they themselves are so unhealthy, and yet they're telling you, I will help you. Will you go to such a person? You've gone already. But will you listen to such a person? No. You'll say, if you can't do this for yourself, how can you claim that you will help me transform my life? So, not only is this guru Shrotriya, but the guru is Brahmanishtha. In other words, that person is abiding in this truth which they are communicating, which they are revealing with the help of the scriptures to the student. Now somebody may be both, maybe Shrotriya and Brahmanishtha. Very learned and abiding in the truth. But what is also necessary and will be there for such a person is compassion. Because without compassion, that person will not feel like teaching. They'll say, you're ignorant, you can remain ignorant. Doesn't make a difference to me, I'm Brahman anyway. They will not say such thing. But that person will be dayalu, they will be filled with compassion. Let's see how these people are living and suffering and struggling. They need this help. And because our Gurudev had such compassion alone, we are able to sit here and open such books. Otherwise, who knows where we would be? Because he had that people should benefit. Therefore, thousands, if not millions of people in the world are able to access this incredible knowledge. So the Guru is Shrotriya, Brahmanishtha and very compassionate. And who brings the two together? Bhagavan. Now teacher is there, student is there, and both are just looking at each other. Student feels, at last I have found my Guru. Guru feels good, some person is there whom I can teach. But nothing is happening. Simply they're just staring at each other. Why? Because the teaching will not start until some question is asked. Otherwise, they will just keep looking at each other. So, this also is very important. And sometimes what happens, we have questions, but we don't ask them. And sometimes it's because we want to understand that question and formulate that question better. But sometimes it's because we feel, how can I ask this question? If I ask this question, that teacher will see how much I do or actually don't understand. So we don't feel like revealing that. We don't feel like asking that question. In which case, what has become important? Not the removal of my ignorance. My pride has become more important. Because I feel I don't want to ask this question. Or at least, maybe when other people go away, when it's a bit quiet, it should be private. It should be private session. Then I can ask my question. Means what? Something is wrong. If it's a genuine thing, then that's different. But sometimes it's just our ego playing up and saying, yeah, don't ask such questions. So question has to begin, and then the dialogue can begin. Now if the student asks a question and the Guru says, what a ridiculous question, how can you even ask such a thing? So stupid you are. Will that student stay there to hear the answer? He'll say, I thought you were wise, but you also are the same as me, so I'm going. And student will leave. So there has to be this freedom between the teacher and the student. And sometimes, even if that Guru does say, you are stupid, the case depends, but if that student has enough love and reverence, he will say, Guru is just saying that, but I know he's going to give me the answer. So you may call me stupid, but I will still sit here and listen. So now Parvati ji sees that Lord Shiva is sitting peacefully. So she goes and she doesn't ask her question first, because this also sometimes we do. You'll just enter a room and somebody will come. I have a question. At least say Hari Om first. Question. Very urgent. Answer my question immediately. So she says that Vishwanatha, she addresses him, you are the Lord of the universe. But, very beautifully she says, Vishwanatha Mamanatha. That you may be the Lord of the entire universe, but you are mine. So I am asking you this question, and you will answer. Means that thing should be there that, this teacher is mine. That not just some random person is sitting there, he is learned, so I'll ask a question, see if he can answer or not. That person who feels that relationship has been established, in other words. So she says, you are the Lord of the whole universe. You are the abode of all good virtues, etc. She praises him. She says, if you are pleased with me. This is another thing. In another place it was also said that when the teacher is pleased with the student, then the student can ask that question. Because if somebody is angry at you and you ask them a question, what will the response be? Means that teacher should be pleased with the student. So she says, if you are pleased with me, then please remove my ignorance. And what is her question? That why is it that this Rama, who is said to be that infinite truth, why is it that he seems to have been suffering so much as a result of being separated from his wife? Is it that this Rama is different from that infinite reality? Is the prince of Ayodhya, the person who we saw, is he Ishvara, is he Brahma, or is he someone else? And if he is that truth, how is it that he appears to be acting like us and suffering? This question, what it is, how is it possible when we say that the truth is timeless, formless, infinite, eternal? How is it possible for that truth to take a form? How is it possible for that to appear in a particular way? Whether you call it Rama or Krishna, whomever you say, how is it possible? Therefore, should they not be different? Why can't you say that Rama is someone else and Brahma is something else? And she says, please don't be angry, because maybe she saw something on his face. But also she knows that I've asked this question before. And sometimes, when we ask the same question again and again, then people can get impatient. So she said, please don't be angry, but please remove my ignorance. And she asks a series of 8 questions. Now, only some of them will be addressed in the portion that we're seeing, but I will tell you what they are. Okay, you just listen. First, she says, what is the reason for which that formless truth takes a body? In other words, how does Nirguna appear as Saguna? The first question. Specifically, what is the cause behind Rama avatar? Why did he appear as Lord Rama and lead the life that Bhagwan Rama led? Then she says, tell me all his childhood stories. This is what I want to know. Tell me how he got married to Sitaji. Tell me why he gave up his kingdom. How did he live in the forest? Tell me all the stories about how he lived in the forest. How did he kill Ravana? And then when he became king, what all did he do? Basically, just tell me the whole Ramayana. That's what I'm asking. So see, the kind of question that she asks, she has clearly thought about it. And these questions naturally will be pleasing to somebody who loves Rama. So Bhagwan is very happy. She also asked, tell me what is knowledge, tell me what is devotion. Tell me what is dispassion. And if there's anything that I haven't asked about, you answer that question also. In other words, I want everything. Don't miss anything out. So he hears this and he's so happy. And as he hears her questions, it's like the whole story of Rama starts appearing in his mind. He sees everything happening. And with this vision of his Ishta Devata, of Lord Rama, his mind gets absorbed and he goes into meditation. Now Parvati ji is thinking, again, if 87,000 years I have to wait, that's too long. But Tulasidasji says, Danda Juga means for two, the very specific timing is given. So it said that 2.5 danda is 1 hour. So for 2 means, see who's good at maths, who can work it out. For 48 minutes. Okay, he went into meditation. You know precisely how long. Then he forcefully brings himself out. And he starts to explain now. And the first thing he says, this is the answer to the question, who is Rama? This is her main question. This is her main doubt. Even as Sati ji, this was her question. And he says, Jhuteu satya jahi binu jane. Rama is that satya, because of which everything that is false appears to be real. He is that because of which this false world appears to be real. So he doesn't say Ram is the eldest son of Dashrath who was born in Ayodhya, who went to the forest and then killed Ravan, came back, etc., etc. Who is Rama means what is Rama's true nature, what is his essence, this is it. In other words, Rama is Brahma. Rama is that infinite consciousness, existence, which supports this entire universe. You may say, why is he saying Rama is Brahma? Because we're reading Ramayana. If you read Bhagavatam, they will say Krishna is Brahma. If you read Shiva Purana, they will say Shiva is Brahma. If you read Devi Purana, they will say Devi is that. In other words, this Rama, who is Ishvara, is none other than that infinite truth, which is the substratum of this whole universe. An example he gives, Jimi bhujanga binu raju pahichane. This is very familiar to everybody, this raju bhujanga. Bhujanga means snake. Raju means rope. Just like without knowing the rope, you see snake. Without knowing Rama, what we see, what we take as real, is this world. So what is he saying at the same time? One, this world is false. Two, what is the reality behind it? That Brahma, who here is being called Rama. Now, why is this world false? Sometimes, not sometimes. For our lives, we have a problem with this. How is the world false? I'm experiencing it. I'm seeing you. I'm hearing. I am smelling, tasting, touching. This world is in front of me. Nobody can deny that I am experiencing this world. So how are you saying that it's not real? How are you saying that it's false? Because our definition of real and the Shastra, the scriptural definition of real, is different. And because we have not aligned ourselves with the scripture, therefore we have this problem. When we read, whether it's the Upanishads, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita, whether it is the Ramayana, etc., real is that which does not change in past, present, future, which never changes. And real is that which can never be negated. It can never be said that this is false. The real is never absent. Now, if this is our definition and we look at the world, can the world be said to be real? Does the world change? Yes. Does the world have a beginning and an end? Yes. We won't see either, but we know that it does. Can the world be negated? Is there any time at which the world is absent? You all are experiencing every day, hopefully for your sake, the absence of the world. When you go to sleep, do you experience the world? No, thank God. Nobody experiences the world when they're sleeping. So the world can be said to be absent. According to this definition, the world cannot be real. Only that which does not change, which is always present, which can never be negated, that alone can be called Satya, can be called real. Now here, because the focus is on Ishvara, the focus is on God, he says it is the substratum of the entire universe. If we were doing inquiry into ourselves, if we were asking this question, who am I, instead of who is God, then we can do this analysis, that what do I never experience the absence of personally? At any time in my life, at any stage in my day, throughout each of the three states of experience, in waking, dream, and deep sleep, what is always present? So we say, I am always present. I never experience my own absence. I never wake up in the morning and have to think, where am I? You may think, where am I, because you don't know where you are, but you don't ever experience that I am not there. To say that I am not here, somebody has to be there to say it. So that same self is what is being referred here as Brahma. And he says that is Rama. When we know that truth, then this world is negated. Just like when we wake up, the dream is known as false. He says, Bandau Bala Rupa Soi Rama. That is Rama, and to him I bow down. And this very famous line is here. He says, Mangala Bhavana Amangala Hari Dravauso Dasaratha Ajira Bihari. Who is that Rama? Mangala Bhavana. He is the abode of all auspiciousness. He is the one who removes everything inauspicious. May he be compassionate to me. Dravau means may he melt. Dasaratha Ajira Bihari. He is the one who wanders in the courtyard of King Dasharath. That Rama I bow down to. Then he says, and this is very important, when somebody asks a question, he says, Dhanya Dhanya Giri Raja Kumari. That you are blessed. You have asked such questions. Because whenever you say that, that person feels even more like listening to your answer. Very good question. Very intelligent, thoughtful question. Well done. So he says, well done, you have asked a good question. And he says, what you have asked is not only for yourself, it will benefit the entire world. Sakala Loka Jaga Pavani Ganga. It is like Gangaji to purify this entire world. And he says, I know what you're not saying. Tuma Raghuvira Charana Anuragi. You have great love and devotion for Lord Rama. You have asked only so that everybody else can benefit from what I will now say. He says, you will never become deluded. You will never be in grief because you have this devotion. But, he said, again you ask the same question. And here, Lord Shiva is very humorous hard-hitting but humorous few lines. Okay, we'll see briefly. He says, Jina Hari Katha Suni Nahi Kana. This is the description of who is the student, right? Because we said, what are the qualifications? Only briefly we saw those two, Arthi and Samarthi. But who is qualified to hear? So he says, Jina Hari Katha Suni Nahi Kana. Those ears which have never heard Hari Katha. In other words, which have never heard any kind of satsang. He says, Shravana Randhra. Those ears are just like holes. Not only that, Ahi Bhavana Samana. Bhavana means house, home. Ahi means snake. They are like snake holes. means if you have never heard satsang, what purpose are those ears serving? They are like snake holes. We love to listen to everything else. We love to listen to our own praise. We love to listen to gossip. We love to listen to all sorts of things. The person who will benefit is that person who loves to listen to satsang. Hari Katha means should have love for God. Now this theme continues, okay? Nayanani santa darasa nahi dekha. One whose eyes have never had darshan of santa, who have never seen any great person, any mahatma, any saint. Such a person, lochana mora pankha kara lekha. These eyes are like, mora means peacock. They are like the eyes on the feather of a peacock. Means they don't see. If you have eyes and you've never used those eyes to approach great people, to have satsang, then what use are your eyes serving? Lord Shiva is saying, okay? Then, the next one is very humorous. Te sira, that head which has never bowed down to Hari or Guru. That head which has never bowed in front of God or the Guru. That head is like Katu Tumbari Samatula. That is like, Katu means bitter. Tumbari means pumpkin. That head which has never bowed down is like a bitter pumpkin. Means what will you do with a bitter pumpkin? Nobody will eat it also. It's useless. At the most you will carve it up and use it at Halloween time or something. That head is not useful to anybody or anything. I mean, if we don't have humility, and if we can't even find it in ourselves to bow down at the feet of the Lord, forget anybody else, the Lord or the Guru, then really what are we doing? A different question if you can't bow down, okay? Some people have back problem, etc. Then that's different. That Kawali is there, which they always sing. What is that? That head which never bowed down. Sirpal. I don't know. They always sing it at Chick Camp. Okay. That one. Okay. Jina Hari Bhagati Hridaya Nahi Ani. One in that heart in which there is no Hari Bhakti. There is no devotion. Jivata Sava Samana Te Prani. Sava means Shava. Shava means corpse. That person is like a corpse. Means if we don't have bhakti, we are not living at all. Everybody's okay. Then two more are there. Okay. Jo nahi karei Rama guna gana. One who has never spoken the glory of the Lord. In other words, one who does not speak the glory of the Lord, one who even speaks negatively then. Jiha so daduran jiha samana. That tongue, jiha means jeeb. That tongue is like dadura. Dadura means frog. That person's mouth they're like a frog. They're just making some noise. nothing valuable is coming out. Okay, last one. Kulisa kathora nithura soi chhati suni hari charita najo harashati. That person who does not feel joy when listening to such stories, when listening to satsang, that person who is not uplifted, that person is kathor and nithura. Very hard-hearted, very cruel person. If they don't find joy in satsang. But he says, now you listen. Because this story of Rama will relieve you of all sorrows. But, he says, everything that you asked is very good, but I didn't like something that you said. Eka bata nahi mohi sohani. I didn't like that. Which you said out of delusion, I know. But you said that Rama and the one whom the Vedas speak of, you said that they are different. That I didn't like. We'll put this in context, okay? For a lot of people, God is incidental in their life. Means God is there, and sometimes I think of him, but most of the time he is not really involved. Most of the time he is not really required. This is what we feel. He may be there. We don't feel that God is central in my life. That my life should be God-centered. And for most people, the moment you utter this word itself, they switch off. You hear the word God and they say they're talking about something irrelevant. God is some idea. Because people's idea about religion, etc. is, everyone has different understanding. What Vedanta says, again, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, when Swami Vivekananda first met him, he said, do you see God? I want to know, have you seen God? He said, yes. I see him more clearly than I am seeing you. Which means what? That it's us who are incidental in this creation. We are the ones who come and go. There is some reality which is always there, which doesn't change. That is fundamental. And when we start trying to grasp this, and when we are told that that reality is formless, timeless, beyond name and form, then sometimes also this question comes that, well, then why should I practice devotion to a form? Because all I have to do is figure out who I am and discover my essence as that unconditioned consciousness, existence, infinite principle. So then where does this devotion to God with form come in? Sometimes this question comes. And we are unable to reconcile everything that is said. What Lord Shiva is saying here is, don't make this mistake of thinking that there are two. Don't make the mistake of thinking that God with form is somehow removed from that truth which you are seeking. Don't make the mistake of thinking that any avatara, here Rama avatara, don't think that Rama is different from Brahman. From that consciousness. And he will elaborate on it more. But for now, this is just for us to understand what this question actually is and how we can relate to it. For a lot of people, this question won't come at all. That's also fine. But at some point, it will arise. Now, for us to understand, again, who is the student here? Lord Shiva says, those who are agya, means who are ignorant, who are akovida, who are not well learned, who are andha, who are blind, means they cannot see clearly. Abhagi, they are very unfortunate, and whose minds are constantly occupied with sense objects, constantly looking to enjoy something in this world. Such people who have, he said, even in their dream, they will not have satsang. They don't know what is gain and what is loss. Such people will speak words that you have spoken which go against what the Vedas say. In other words, who will be able to understand what the Vedas say? The opposite. Right? The opposite of what he has said, such a person will be able to understand the Vedic teaching. And a very important line that comes, he says, Mukura malina aru nayana vihina. Mukura malina means whose mirror here means the mind, is malina, is dirty. And nayana vihina, who is without eyes, Rama rupa kimi dekhahi kimi dina. Rama rupa dekhahi kimi dina. How will such a person see the form of the Lord? How will such a person see Rama? What is said is, what is required in order to gain knowledge? Because here to see Rama doesn't just mean to see the physical form. To see Rama means to understand who Rama is. What is required? A mind that is pure. A dirty mirror means what? A mind that is impure. What that means we'll see. What is required? A pure mind and nayana, eyes. Everybody has eyes. So what is this? Nayana means, as well as having a pure mind, what is required is the right means of knowledge. To see anything, in anything in this world, what is required? You may say light, that object should be there, you should be in the same place. So many things are required, but ultimately if you don't have eyes, will you see that thing? No. So to see anything in this world, what is required? Eyes. Your eyes are the means of knowledge for you to perceive form and color. For us to see Rama, for us to understand who is Rama, What are the means of knowledge? The means of knowledge are not our eyes. The means of knowledge are not any of our senses. The means of knowledge are not anything in this world. The means of knowledge are the Vedas. In other words, if we want to know God, then where do we have to go? To Vedas and Vedic teaching. If we look anywhere outside of that to understand who is God, then we will not be able to get that knowledge. This is what is being said. And for things in this world, we are very happy to acknowledge that only a particular means of knowledge will work. In other words, if you say, I want to go and listen to a concert, nobody says, doesn't matter if you can't hear, if you can see, it's fine. You can still go and enjoy. Because everybody knows that if you want to hear, you need ears. And if you want to taste, you need a tongue. So we're very clear that for specific objects in this world, there are specific means of knowledge which are required. But our problem when it comes to God is we think, I can just understand God by myself, in my own thinking. I don't need anybody to help me understand who God is. Or we think, if I can't see God, then he doesn't exist, just like everything else in this world. If I can't see it, it doesn't exist. For that which is beyond sense perception, the Vedas are our means of knowledge. This is what is said here. And he says, those who are unable to understand, unable to have viveka, they are just under the influence of Maya, and nothing is too ridiculous for them to say. They will say anything. But you should not listen. In the same way that you don't listen to somebody who is drunk. You won't ask that person for directions how to get home because you will end up in somebody else's home. You don't ask that person. So why should you ask somebody who themselves, that person is deluded? Why should you ask him about the truth? Why should you ask that person about who is God? So he says, don't have any doubt. And now listen to what I will tell you. I will explain who is Rama. Okay? This we will have to see tomorrow. In the Ramayana, just 2 minutes are there, I will tell you. 4 conversations are going on in this Ramcharitmanas. One is between 2 rishis called Yajnavalkya and Bharadvaj. One is between Lord Shiva and Parvati. That is the first one actually. Then Yajnavalkya and Bharadvaj. One conversation is between Kaka Bhushundi and Garuda. Kaka Bhushundi is the devotee in the form of a crow whose story comes at the end. And Garuda, who is the, you know who Garuda is, the vehicle of Lord Vishnu. And one conversation is between Tulasidasji and his own mind. And each of these 4 conversations has a different theme. And they are said to be taking place on 4 banks around this lake of the Ramcharitmanas. So Tulasidasji is on the Dina Ghat. Dina means the bank of surrender. Kakabhushundi and Garudaji are on the bank of devotion. That their conversation is about bhakti. Yajnavalkya Rishi and Bharadwaj are on the bank of karma. Means their conversation is all about dharma. All are talking about the same thing, okay? All are talking about Lord Rama, but the theme is different. Lord Shiva and Parvati ji are sitting on the bank of knowledge, Jnana Ghat. Which is why this conversation is happening in this way. Okay? Because this dialogue, if you have Lord Shiva and Parvati ji together, then only the highest knowledge will be revealed. And it will be revealed in this way. If you want devotion, then you read the rest of the Ramcharitmanas. And if you want more devotion. But the focus here is on knowledge. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.